I've gathered you here to watch me wipe this degenerate from the face of the Empire.
Darth Thanaton was born roughly in the year of 3695 BBY, a human male with the birth name of Teneb Kel. Teneb was discovered by a Sith known as Lord Khalifa. Sensing the potential within the child, he takes him on as his personal apprentice. Teneb Kel was actually a former slave, bound to work for the Empire indefinitely, but after being recruited into the Sith, he entered a new life. The Sith Lord trained the young boy into a young man who would be on the front lines of the war against the Republic during the Sith Empire's resurgence. Teneb was trained to be an assassin, which he approached with admirable skill, even choosing to wield a double-bladed lightsaber. However, he sank most of his time into his studies of the dark side, ancient history, and artifacts. As the Great Galactic War raged on, a young Teneb Kel was able to successfully aid the Empire in capturing the ancient Sith world known as Begarin. He even had an alien ally, an Abyssian named K-Wall. However, Teneb called him by his nickname, Maggot. He allowed K-Wall to join him on his missions. He had proved to be a loyal ally and friend. The young Sith also had a connection with his master that was similar to father and son. After all, the Sith Lord had saved him from a life of slavery. He looked up to Lord Khalifa like a father he never had. However, when Teneb Kel returned after his victory on Begarin, he was promptly arrested for crimes his master had committed. The young Sith was brought before the Dark Council and was told that his master had been attempting to seize power that did not belong to him. Darth Maul commands him to kill his former master, and Teneb Kel obliges with no hesitation. One does not simply ignore a command given by the Dark Council. They both duel, his master yelling out in anger over his apprentice's sudden betrayal. Not that he had any other choice. The young Sith Lord bests his former master in combat, and as he goes in for the killing blow, Darth Maul stops him. He decrees that they may yet still have a use for him, as his former master is dragged away across the cold metal floor. The Dark Council instructs Teneb Kel that he is to become their weapon now. A masterless apprentice must have a use, they stated. The young Sith's former master was able to teach the Dark Council about visions of the future that would manifest when you are close to death. Using this methodology, Teneb was able to see a glimpse of the target he was to hunt, the Emperor's former apprentice who had gone rogue and defected to the Republic. A female Sith pureblood named Exile Kreshh, who also happened to be the last living descendant of the ancient Sith, Ludo Kreshh. The young Sith was then brought before the voice of the Emperor, who gave him his blessing to become a weapon of his will for this particular mission. He was only told to kill the AWOL apprentice. He was told no further details. This mission was a divine command and could not be refused. It was also an opportunity for the young Sith to prove his worth. The alternative is sharing his master's fate. This mission would be his salvation. He must succeed. The Emperor's voice reaches out and touches Teneb Kel's mind with the dark side. He slips into despair, his fears and past manifesting before his eyes, and then he awakens on board his ship. With his companion by his side, knowing he must fulfill his duty, he immediately proceeds to chase his target to one of the orbiting colonies of the Leniker system. Several colonies orbited the world of Leniker 4. Exile Kreshh was on one of them. The young Sith Lord confronts the local Hutt gang leader and slaughters many of their guards, forcing the Hutt to reveal more information on his target's precise location. As he continues his search, he is able to discern that she is avoiding the Emperor's thoughts by dreaming. She had forced herself into some form of cryosleep to prevent the Emperor from seeing her mind and through her eyes. He finds where she was hiding, but she sensed him coming and prepared herself. The two of them engage in a battle, Exile Kreshh taunting the young Sith, mocking him for his blind devotion. As she overwhelms him, the young Sith asks her a question. Why are you betraying the Emperor? She gives him the choice of finding out the truth and then being killed, or he can run and flee. The young Sith chooses to flee the fight as his opponent starts to destroy the floating colony. Both of them escape before the colony crashes to the surface of the world nearby. Teneb Kel meets up with his companion. He was able to sustain himself with the dark side and used a floating debris in space to jump and climb his way back to the ship. After stitching up his wounds, he proceeds to the surface of the world to hunt his quarry. On the world's surface, he is confronted by a giant Tyrantotech. He leaps onto the monstrous beast, impaling it perfectly vertical into the skull, and following that up with a large web of lightning that envelopes the beast and defeats it. The battle had caused his stitching to come loose, and his wound bled into his robes. He simply reminded himself of his training and continued on. As his life force drains with each step, fatigue and death slowly embrace him. He stops to rest by a fire and recites the Sith code. Rather than fully embracing death, the Force instead allowed him to see the future. A vision manifests and Teneb Kel explores it. He speaks with his quarry via his imagination, slowly learning why she betrayed her master. Along with her was a mysterious figure who wore a mask, a guide for his vision perhaps. Exile Kreshh shows the young Sith Lord the truth. She shows him that the Emperor plans to indoctrinate 1,000 people who will be slaves of his will, spies, his secret eyes and ears that would elevate his designs and expose those who would seek to oppose him. Teneb believed that if this was the Emperor's will, then his strategies should not be questioned. He remains loyal to his Emperor. Exile Kreshh, however, chose not to be his servant and instead fled his reach. She was the first to be indoctrinated. She is the first of the Emperor's children. His mind is bound to hers, and he calls to her from across the galaxy, speaking to her mind directly. The young Sith asks her if this is also to be his fate, but she tells him that his future is with the Dark Council, a chained beast whimpering for scraps. Refusing to believe his future would be servitude, he lashes out against the mysterious figure who claims to be him, claims to be Darth Thanaton. The mysterious figure blasts the young Sith with Force lightning, and then he awakens. His vision had been interrupted by the presence of a Jedi. After a short confrontation, they realize they are looking for the same person, Exile Kreshh. The young Sith offers a short truce with the Jedi and even helps them to rescue refugees who were affected by the crashed colony. After helping out the locals, he returns to his ship, where a Jedi Padawan was speaking with his companion. As the Padawan leaves, Teneb Kel stabs them and leaves them for dead, likely balancing out his recent acts of empathy with a sudden act of cruelty. He had learned that his quarry was on Korriban and that she had instigated the Republic into attacking the world. When he arrives, orbit is in chaos, cruisers firing upon each other at every angle. However, Teneb Kel knows that Exile Kreshh was using this as a distraction while she fulfilled her real mission on the surface. He follows her into the tombs of Korriban, a place he swore he would never return to after being a slave of this world, forced to work hard labor. Deep in the tombs, he is able to confront Exile Kreshh once again. Here, he learns the full extent of her motivation. She is angry that the Emperor chose to make her his slave, rather than successor. She feels wronged after everything she had sacrificed already, so now she would end his plans to make his children and destroy his holocrons and other valuable artifacts on Korriban, also intending to destroy the tombs and perhaps even the Academy. The young Sith is barely able to hold his own against his opponent. Her power was huge and her will was unrelenting, but he was able to catch her off guard by impaling her with a lightsaber from behind, using the Force. He was victorious. His companion had followed him and overheard many of the details. This made the young Sith regret what he must do. While leaving the tombs together, he kills his companion for knowing the secrets of the Emperor, proving his loyalty to the Empire. Perhaps the only friend he ever had, he was forced to kill. Upon returning to the Dark Council, they are pleased with his victory and will now judge his future. However, when told to kneel, the young Sith Lord refused. Darth Maul stepped forward and began teasing a Force lightning attack, but Teneb explains that he is no longer afraid of death, and that he knows the Emperor's secret, and if they wish to find out what it was, they would give him more power and the respect he deserves. He proclaims in the chamber that he must be granted the title of Darth Thanaton. The council approved this decision, and the newly appointed Darth begins building his power base. Over the next many years, Darth Thanaton is able to recruit many allies and become a powerful figurehead within the Empire, recruiting the likes of Darth Kreshh to his cause. But he was no exception to the age-old tradition of having a rival. Another Sith Lord named Zash was rising in the ranks, and her speedy progress was suspicious to Thanaton, so he had his lackeys investigate her and her new acolyte that was taken from the slave pens. When Darth Kreshh investigates the matter on behalf of Thanaton, he finds himself sent to an early grave. This enrages Thanaton, as it proved to benefit Zash when she gets promoted to Darth. I suspect Thanaton did not trust Zash because they shared a common interest, Sith sorcery. Thanaton did not like that Zash knew secrets he had not yet learned. Over the years, he had become obsessed with Sith history and tradition, believing only those who are worthy should study the secrets of the dark side. He did not believe Darth Zash to be worthy of this. A year or so later, Darth Thanaton is able to finally claim his seat on the Dark Council and burden the responsibility of the Sphere of Knowledge for the Empire, ensuring the secrets of the dark side are well guarded from prying eyes. This was the position he sought for many years. But his power base would not last. Darth Zash's apprentice had quickly rose to power and succeeded her. In time, this Sith Inquisitor would seemingly offend Thanaton by just existing. He believed this young Sith to be a mockery of Sith tradition and has skipped vital progression points in their career. With this thorn in his side festering, he finally decides to challenge the young Sith Inquisitor to a Kagath, an ancient Sith tradition that would see power base versus power base. This challenge became very public, and it caught the attention of many within the Empire. Even the Dark Council was aware of this action. The young rival claims the name Lord Calig and confronts Thanaton on his chosen arena of Corellia. More than once they both engaged in combat, but a victor was not decided so quickly. Darth Thanaton was taken aback by the fact this young Sith was able to match his power, perhaps even more so. So instead of fighting to the death, he chose to flee the arena and seek the help of the Dark Council to destroy his enemy. But this plan completely backfired. The Dark Council is unimpressed that he was not able to kill this child yet. Others were not entertained by Sith traditions and did not care for the Kagath. Lord Calig faces him for a final time in the Dark Council chambers and successfully overwhelms Thanaton, torturing him with powerful beams of Force lightning. It took all he had left to crawl across the chamber's cold metal floor, as his skin boiled and peeled away. Severely wounded and defeated, the nearby Darth Mortis mercy kills Thanaton with a quick snap of his neck. The weapon that was once chosen to end the legacy of Ludo Kreshh has now fallen and had been replaced. Such is the way of the dark side. Such is the way of the Sith.